And our first toast tonight will be from Austin Latine. Austin, that's John's little brother, quote unquote.
All right. All right, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Austin, and I am the younger brother to the groom, as well as the best man. And as the best man, it's my duty to give a toast to both the bride and the groom. For those of you that do know me, you'll know that I'm generally never shy to stand up and get behind a mic. But in this particular occasion, I have been kind of worried and nervous about what I was going to say. So I gained a lot of insight from people and bounced ideas. And the best piece of advice I got was this: that the toast should be long enough to be like a lady's skirt. It should be long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to keep it interesting. So with that, I hope I keep it interesting. First, I'd like to give everybody a little insight to what happened at John's bachelor party a few weeks back. A bunch of us went out to Dave & Buster's, which essentially is like an adult Chuck E. Cheese. You play games and you win tickets. And we started seeing people come out of this place with like big stuffed animals. And we said, we got to win John one of these things that he can carry out and carry around with him for the rest of the evening. And unfortunately, those things were a lot of tickets, so we had to settle for like a smaller guitar. But when we put all the tickets together, we found out we could get him a shirt too. Nice, right? We got him a shirt, you know? Well, it turns out it was a female shirt, and it was a size medium shirt. And I'm not saying that my brother's the largest guy I know, but it was pretty hilarious to see him wear this the rest of the night. So why do I tell you this story? Well, as I observed John throughout the evening, there's a slogan across the front of the shirt, and it said, "It's all about me." And it started to make me think that rarely growing up as John had many occasions where it's all about him. Sorry. He's rarely had moments where that's all about him because he's always had this annoying little shadow following him around, doing whatever he was doing. I have to admit that as John's little brother, I watched and observed him growing up, and it seems like whatever he was doing, I wanted to be doing that as well. John started to play the piano, I had to play the piano. John went outside to ride his bike, I rode my bike. John was in plays and musicals, so I did that. John played golf, I played golf. And even up till now, John gets engaged, heck, why not? I'll get engaged too. Yeah. The more and more I think about it, John really only had a couple of years to enjoy an activity before his younger brother came along and started doing the same thing. But our relationship over the years has really been out of the ordinary from what most brothers are like. Instead of hating that I was copying him, he instead would always take me under his arm and teach me the way. This is because of the type of older brother that John was. I can faintly remember a situation where John was invited to a friend's birthday party, and I whined and complained enough that he asked his friend if I could be invited as well. So here I was among all John's friends as his little brother invited to this party. So, whether it was playing baseball in the front yard, hanging out in the restaurant with Dad, riding our bikes down to the bridge, or sneaking up late at night to play video games with Dad, John always treated me like a best friend rather than just a little brother. I had a difficult time trying to think of embarrassing stories to tell about John. And in reality, any stories that I could think of usually end with John picking on me or doing something that makes the story more embarrassing for me instead. So we're going to skip those stories, and most of my memories with John have really came about because of how similar we were and being involved in the same activities. In all honesty, some of the best time spent with John have just been riding in a car with him on the way back and forth to band practice, golf practice, work, or even long road trips down to Florida. But really, my overall greatest memories with John were during our high school golf days and just golf on the side. I won't go on and on about those stories, he knows what those are, but instead I'd like to share a different story. She may not remember this, but Amanda and I have some stories on the golf course as well. Most of you know that Amanda and I grew up fairly close. We were both in the same grade growing up, we shared the same group of friends, and most teachers would sit alphabetically. So my last name being Bettine, her last name being Conley, she was fortunate enough to get stare at the back of my head in most classes. The golf course I'm referring to is actually a Frisbee golf course. Our families back in the day, as Pastor mentioned, would take us to the local pool and throughout the summer. And sometimes we would bring our Frisbees along and we'd head down. I don't think we really knew what we were doing, but we had fun anyways. As we grew up and entered our high school years, I can't really say that I would have ever guessed that John and Amanda would eventually be together. As we entered high school, I think John knew who Amanda was. He knew her as one of Austin's friends, and probably thought she was just as annoying as he was. But obviously, over the years, and post-high school, the connection was there, and here we are today. I would like to say that John, I'm sure everybody here today believes that you are a very, very, very lucky man, because you have taken Amanda's hand in marriage. Because we all know that Amanda is smart, warm, loving, and caring, and by all accounts, she deserves a good husband. So thank God that you married her before she actually took the time to find one. I've gotten to see how John's changed since meeting Amanda and adapting to Amanda's lifestyle. For instance, the way they spend their Sunday afternoons. John used to always run down to the end of the driveway, grab the newspaper, flip through the ads, and see what he could blow his paycheck on that. Nowadays, he still rushes down to get the Sunday paper, but it's to help Amanda find the best grocery coupons for the week. Needless to say, it's obvious how happy the two of you are. John, I doubt I need to tell you this, because I think you realize that you will now never be able to say, it's all about me. So luckily, you have a shirt that says it. But the trade-off in that is a beautiful wife and companion of Amanda, and I know that you wouldn't have it any other way. As I close out my toast tonight, there are 2 points that I believe sum it up. First, to Amanda. As John's little brother and best man, I can offer one piece of advice to you. As I mentioned before, because of the type of big brother that John was, he has always allowed me to be that annoying shadow. And he always invited me to be right there with him, experiencing things, hanging out, having fun, and being his friend. Amanda, he's invited you to be there right there with him today as well. And I'm thrilled that you realize that there's no place else that you would want to be. Because it's not only about the type of big brother he is, it's about the person that he is. You and I both realize that after countless times and memories, that as long as you're with him, standing beside him, he will always take care of you. I'm not going to get to the sex part. And John, as I grew up watching you, observing you, and doing things because of you, and although there are many different things that you strive at, there is still one skill that I've tried to follow you in your footsteps on. I've observed you, took lessons from you, even tried to be better at, but could never come close. And that skill is being a brother. You truly are my best friend, and you have always been my best friend. Of all people, I know when you're happy, and it's obvious you're happy with a man. I couldn't be happier for you today, and just as you stood at that altar, you once again had that annoying shadow behind you. And just as I always have, I cannot be happier to be your little brother. I've been honored and privileged to be there as you started to write the next chapter in your life with Amanda. I wish you all the joy and happiness that marriage brings, and may God bless you both today and forever. With that, please, everybody raise your glasses and join me in welcoming the new Mr. and Mrs. John T.